Devlog for February 14th, 2026. All right, well, today I got a lot of work done on revamping Battle Logic and all of my different resources to be more data driven. I was getting stressed out yesterday when I was working on the resources, and I think part of that was because I had a bunch of functions in the resources. Like the ability resource had some functions, the stats resource had some functions. So what I did is I took all of those functions and just moved them into a centralized location in the Battle Logic GD script. I also learned, I didn't know this, but apparently Godot has regions, which are very helpful for me in organizing code blocks. So I made a state machine, updated state machine region, and oh my goodness, it's so much cleaner than what I had before. And that is mostly because I'm using queues now for going to different states. So in the game state, I have a couple of different queues. I have a units queue, which is basically like all of the units that are in the battle, including dead ones. They get just passed over, but it's important to have them for animation purposes. Abilities queue, this is for when there's a bunch of abilities stacking up. You want to like put all of the abilities into a queue rather than going through each of the stats and remembering which ability in that stat you're currently on, because you want to activate the abilities one by one for animation purposes. Again, animations are a pain. If this was just text adventure, this would be much easier, but I'm designing the code to flow around animations so that I can step through the states of the battle one by one, including every triggered ability. So I created an abilities queue as well as an attack queue. This was more as a lazy option for my targeting rules. So for the target rules, you can get multiple targets, and this is because for abilities you want to be able to have an ability attack or affect multiple people. Like for example, the dragon's ability for fire breathing, that'll deal damage to all player party members. So you need to be able to get an array of units. Each unit is represented by the stats class. And so when you're doing a singular attack, you're going to just get engaged enemy. So whatever the engaged enemy is for this stat, for this unit, that's the unit that you get, and that's why we have an attack queue, so that we can process every unit that you attack. Like let's say you wanted a unit that can attack 2 units. Well, now you can. And then we have other helper arrays, like the player units and the enemy units, for just keeping track of which units are the player units and the enemy units. And instead of having a bajillion index counters, I opted to instead have each unit keep track of their own place in the game state units queue. And this is just to make it so that you don't have to have a bajillion indexes over here. You can just have whatever the current unit's turn is, keep track of its own index in the units queue. All right. And so I still need to flesh out. I haven't tested this code, so this is untested code. I'm looking forward to testing it. So for some reason, for me, having all of the stat functions in the Battle Logic script is so much easier for me to work with, to separate out the logic from the data. Even though it would be sort of easier, per se, to have the stats resource take care of it manipulating its own stats, this just this reads easier to me to be like, oh, okay, all of the variables are stored in this place, and then they are manipulated in the battle logic place. It's a very C way of programming, but it works for me. And so, yeah, once I get this simulation done, then I can start moving on to the more visual aspects of the game. But I'm hopeful that I will be able to get something working by next week. Fingers crossed.